Hello guys, welcome to the Backyard Machine Shop. Well, hopefully today, for the first time, you're going to get to see the Pratt and Whitney run, and we're going to run it. We're going to go through it. I spent the last couple of days wiring it up. It's ready to go. Oiling everything up, and you can see from the mats on the floor, it's a leaker. I knew it was going to be a leaker, so I'm going to have to probably keep mats on the floor to keep the oil off the concrete. Anyway, first time I'm getting excited, man. So we're going to get to see it. I know the motor runs. I've already checked it out. The belt came in yesterday. I've been treating it with some neat's foot oil for the overnight, putting 5 or 6 coats on it. So we're going to put the belt on and adjust the belt out in a few minutes and crank this puppy up. All right, so a couple things that I wanted to answer. Hold on one second. All right, so a couple things I wanted to answer. A couple of things. I mean, there was a couple of things that was going on. The questions we had and I had about lubrication and the spindles in the wicking. So here's what I've tried. I did 3 things. One, I've got a really heavy candle wax, and it worked real well. Matter of fact, all 3 of them worked real well. So heavy candle wax, the only concern I had with that was inside of these bearings there's a little small hole that the wick has to go through. Now it would probably still wick, but we want to get them as close to the bearing as we can, to the shaft as we can. So there's a little small hole, maybe a 1/4 inch, that the wicking has to go through. And with this, it would just pile up in there. So I took that out of the equation. The next thing was McMaster sells this felt wicking, and I think some of you guys seen that on Adam Booth's channel. This stuff would probably work real well. I put it, as a matter of fact, this is what I was going to go with. And I installed it into the wickers, into the oilers, had them ready, and I was trying to adjust the length a little bit, and it just disintegrated on me after it had gotten oil. So probably shouldn't have tried to pull on it. It's a really tight fit in the oiler, the hole that it's in, but I got worried that over time that maybe it would disintegrate. So I decided not to use that. So what I did decide to use is, a lot of you had suggested, and these are cotton pipe cleaners. Now, I'm pretty sure, like you said, like you guys suggested, that's what was in there prior. And these things work real well. They allow you to pinpoint location. I mean, this was pretty simple because it was just straight through. But say you had a wicker, an oiler, and you needed to bend it a little bit to get right to a shaft, you can do that. And they stay in place. They wick just as much oil, if not more, than the other 2. And so pipe cleaners is what I went with. We've got them installed, and that's what we're going to use. There was one more, I forgot to mention this one, and yeah, it was just a nightmare. So this is more for packing, like if you got a leak in a shaft or something like that, and you got a compression fitting, you can wrap this around there and use it for packing. So all right guys, so we've established we used it for the wicking. I have been lubricating this lathe off and on every day, just spraying it with grease up in the gears, trying to get them coated, filling all the oil reservoirs, and doing what I can to get oil everywhere. So one of the first things we're going to do is when we get it started, is we're going to take and let it run for a while. We're going to check the RPMs on it, and we're going to get everything lubricated and make sure there's nothing running hot. We're going to run it through its gear train and a couple other things. So I'm going to get the belt, and we're going to put the belt on this puppy, and we're going to run it. I'm excited, yeah, man. Whew. So hold on, let me get the belt. I got to we got to make some adjustments too, I'm sure. I got to take the little guard off. I had to put that back on. So I'm going to stop the camera. I'm going to do all of that, and when I come back, I'll have the belt. All right, guys. So here's the belt. Now, I called Keith Rucker a week or two ago and asked him if he had some belting material in it, and if he did, if he'd mind making me up a belt. And he had some, and he made me up one, and I really appreciate that. So that's one thing about the community we have with the YouTube machinists, and it stems all the way back to all the vintage machinery type stuff that we have, the old woodworking machine community. Everybody will go out their way to do things for you. So Keith made me up a belt, and I actually have already checked and it fits fine. So, but like I said, since when I got it yesterday, I've been treating it with neat's foot oil and gotten it more pliable, cleaned it up a little bit. So we're going to install it and make sure I put it in here the right way. It's got a little bad spot in here, and I don't want that bad spot to pull us up apart. Go on like this. Now, I don't know how many guys have ever dealt with flat belt machinery, but this one's spliced with some what I call alligator clips. Sometimes you can glue them together and put them on. That's probably the quietest way to make them. This is the easiest way, and it's fine. It's just going to clickety-clack when it comes around. Now I've got 1, 2, 4 or either 5 flat belt machines in the shop, and you don't see much of the couple of them. The Royceford drill press, the G&L grinder I have, and I got a Harnage tie bar chucker that you don't see much of either. So anyway, all it does is it comes around, you just keep it off and you line your clips up. And make sure you get them in the right spot here. And it's just got a little wire. And this little wire will, believe it or not, will hold everything together. Okay, so got it on. I don't know if it's loose enough to slide on. Now you see that belt start tracking right back towards the middle, and that's what it's supposed to do with those crowns and the pulleys. I'm not exactly sure how alignment, I've done it best I can. We'll find out when we start running it. Anyway, I need to tighten this up some, so let me get a wrench and we'll tighten this thing up. All right guys, so we got the belt on, and I wanted to show you there's some tensioners back here. This whole motor mount is on a pin in the back, and it just elevates and it allows you to tighten the belt, which is good. Some of these old machines with the flat belts, there's no real way of tightening them other than an idler pulley, and you know they stretch out over time. So this one, at least we can make some adjustments. Now what I've done, remember I told you the motor was cocked a little bit when I first put it on, and so what I've done is I've shimmed the back and got it as level as I think. So we'll see we'll be able to tell when the belt's running. Other than that, I'm gonna put some oil in the oilers. So here's what I got. I've made up some goldenrod oilers here, and in this particular one, I have spindle oil, I have whey oil, and then there's one here that's got gear oil in it, and this is what we're going to use to oil everything. So the spindle oil, this is spindle oil. I have to check on the grade, but it comes from McMaster. Really light oil, machine oil, and it's just like a general machine oil. So the way you oil these oilers is you just take and pick them up, kind of point it down in there, All right, so we filled it all the way up. Now, when you're running a machine like this, you do this daily. So this is why it leaks oil everywhere. So you just kind of fill up your oiler. Okay, so we've got the spindle oil in. Now I'm not going to lube the ways. I've already lubed them. They're nice and bright and shiny. And so right now we're going to concentrate on the spindle. We're going to crank it up and make sure we're not in gear. And let's get the spindle up and running. Start my converter. Okay, again, we're going to get it up and running. We're going to let it run for a few minutes, take it through all its ranges, and make sure it's performing well. Okay, so I wired in this, and everything's got oil on it, some oil in this thing. And like I said, earlier I talked about putting a VFD on it. Right now, I just got it wired up direct, so we're going to have 8 speeds, and our top speed should be about 450 some odd RPM if I calculated everything right. So what we want to do now, we want to start this thing. Man, I want to start it off at its lowest speed. So right here, let's take this out. I'd put it up here where I wouldn't lose it. Okay, put it on the table. So guys, what we're going to do is we're going to start out at our lowest speed. So I got a little chart here, and what we have to do, we have to pull, go to neutral, all right, pull out, and this is why that little handle is on the end of that drive to let you do that. All right, so we're in low gear, and this thing's set up forward is in that direction and back. Now let me make sure we don't have anything in the way. Everything's tight. Okay. All right, guys. Here we go. Old girl's gonna turn over for the first time in, I don't know, 50 years maybe. Cross our fingers. I'm gonna step back too. You can see it's been oiling. There she is. First time in 50, I don't know, I'm saying 50 years. It could have been ran 10 years ago, I don't know. It don't look like it was. I could probably find out how long it had been sitting in that shop. But, there we go. I'm going to let it run right there for a little while. And we're going to kind of just watch it and make sure that the bearings aren't getting hot. And then we'll move it up to another speed, okay? All right, guys, I guess I should have done this before I started. Let's shoot the temperature of the bearing. We're right at 63 degrees on the front one. 63, 64 degrees on the back one. Okay, so we got our baseline. We'll even shoot this little oiler here because the heat rises to 63, 64. Looks like that the belt's tracking okay. It's still tracking towards the back a little bit. That's probably because of, it looks like it's tracking in about the same spot on both belts. That might be, I'm tilting, when I put these shims in here, I've shimmed it too much this way. We might need to make an adjustment on the shim and try to level out the shaft a little bit. So So far so good, looks good. It's actually cooled down about 2 degrees on that front bearing and about 2 degrees on the back bearing. So it's getting oil in there, and the oil is cooler, and it's actually cooling down. It's not even getting hot. Alright guys, so while this is running and we're warming it up, I'll tell you a little bit about this chuck. And this chuck, I had cleaned it up the other day, took it all apart, lubricated it, and it's actually spraying a little bit of oil out. But it's a D.A. Whitten chuck. Now, did some research on D.A. Whitten, and they were a company started around 1860. And then, this chuck I know is at least made before 1922. D.A. Whitten went through some changes. The original owner had died, and his son had taken over, and they went from D.A. Whitten to Whitten Machine Tool. The original name was D.A. Whitten Machine Tool, and they went from D.A. Whitten Machine Tool to Whitten Machine Tool in 1922. This truck's stamped D.A. Whitten, so that leads me to believe it's at least around from 1922. Now I did a test on it the other day, and I put a carbide, well actually steel pin in it, and got a reading. I originally said it was like 3 thousandths total run out. It's more like 6 thousandths total run out. 3 thousandths on each side. So anyway, for a chuck that's at least 96 years old or so, it does good. It's still in good shape as far as the run out goes. Now I have clamped stuff in it. It clamps down good. So I'm excited about the chuck. It's in good shape, and we're going to use it eventually. So, all right. So what I'm going to do now, I wanted to check my RPMs. So I'm going to shut it down, and I'm going to get my tack, my laser tack, my manual tack, the one that you see me use before. It doesn't read below 300 RPMs. So I'm going to shut you off, and I'm going to get everything together. Well, I was leave it running. And I'm going to get everything together, and we're going to come back, and we're going to put a piece of sticky magnetic tape on here, and we're going to check out our RPMs. And this lathe does run forward and reverse with this switch. So, and it's a screw-on chuck, so I'm not going to use, but it doesn't, probably won't use reverse too much. So we don't want to spin that chuck off, because that thing is a monster as far as weight. It probably weighs a good 90 pounds. I'm going to stick this piece of reflective tape. We're going to stick it back here on the spindle. And now, the only thing about that is we're not going to be able to see, check it in back gear, the speeds. But, well, I didn't want to put it on the chuck. I wanted to kind of leave it on there. We'll stick it on the chuck. Now, I do know that the back gear is a 10-to-1 gear, so whatever we get in this range here, we can just divide it by 10. So let's get going again. This should be somewhere around 100 RPM. We're getting 110.2. So that would be our lowest speed. And in back gear, that would give us 10 RPM. Now the paperwork on this lathe, and I've got the paperwork on it. The paperwork on this lathe said that the lowest speed was around 5 RPM. So we're going to be off a little bit on the lowest end. And that's mainly because of the gearbox gearing. Let's check it again to double check. Yep, 110 RPM. So, all right, so we back up to about 63 degrees, 64, 63, 63, 63, 64, 63. Okay, so we're going to go to our second speed now. Now our second speed, if you look on here, first gear is a 4.15 ratio. Second speed is going to be 3.15. So, to second, it's pull out, push over. Okay, there's second gear. That should be, I'm guessing 250 RPM. All right, so our bearings are 63, 63, 62, 63, 63, 63. Spindle, 63. We got oil. I can see the oil coming out of these areas up here and here, so let's get the oil. All right, let's check our RPM. All right, I was way off with RPM. One 46. So I was thinking 250. I guess I should have went back. I was just 62, 61, 62, 61. All right, so we're going to go to now. I'm sure that this mic on this camera is picking up everything and adding. You know how they say, camera adds 15 pounds to you. Well, the mics on these cameras add 20 decibels to the sound. So it's not that loud. The gearbox, the little spur gears in the gearbox is what you're hearing. The lathe itself makes no noise. I wish it wasn't as loud as it is, but that's the way it is. So, all right, so we're going to go to third gear. All right, now, like I said, I can sit down and do the math and figure out these RPMs. I was trying to hit this thing in some usable RPMs. So let's check our belt tension. We might have to tighten that back up. All right, third gear. I'm guessing 325 RPMs. Again, our temperatures are 62, 61, 61, 61, 61. Alright, so yeah, it looks like I'm going to have to move either the motor up or pulley forward a little bit. Alright, so we're going to check our RPM. think it's picking up some of this oil that's coming off. So getting all kind of readings. Like I said, this oil I think is reflecting that laser back, and it's giving me anything from 115 to 550. All right, we got 243.3, so I was off again from that. What I'm doing is I'm going to stick a piece of tape back here. It doesn't have all that oil on it. We'll see what we get here. .243 RPM. So that's not it. I know it's getting oil because I can see it coming out. I think the bearings are doing good. Still at 63 degrees. What I'm going to do is when I stop it, let's go ahead and stop it now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust this pulley here forward just a hair. I think I can do that without taking the belt off. I'll stop it in the right spot. I got two. I had the set screws doubled in there. All right. Oh, too much. I didn't have the mic on, but what I was saying is I made some adjustments, I put some trims in it. We got it in high speed now, and when I turned this pulley, I geared it with the spindle to run 450, and that's what it's running. It's right on 450. .4. Bearing temperatures, we're up to about 70 degrees now. 68. 70, 68, still about 73 degrees there. We're gonna let it run a few more minutes, and then we're gonna try to gear train some. We're at high speed. We're gonna make some chips in a few minutes. Degrees, guys. All right, 73 degrees. I think we're good. We're gonna come back and we're gonna check out our gear train, see what that can do.